So who's going to actually buy the Back to the Future 4K? Is anyone? They just announced it today.
Uh,
No.
And not buy it for like the fifth time because I feel we've bought it so many times.
That's
already.
the problem. Is like I own multiple versions of that movie already. To then buy a 4K version.
Dude, is it even worth watching a movie from the 80s on 4K? Like, you can
It only makes
do
it look
so much.
It only makes the makeup look way worse.
Yeah.
I noticed that like by the time I got the DVD, and then way more on Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's like, I'm gonna buy The Wizard of Oz in 4K because it's gonna be in fucking 3D too. Like,
it's really just for
makes
the
no
HDR
sense.
and the brightness and the colors coming up more, popping more.
The question is it going to be better than my Laserdisc versions that I own?
Oh yeah, you're the only one who has it on Laserdisc.
I've never seen something on
Probably
Laserdisc.
Laserdisc was the shit.
Is it really
the best
good quality?
Yes, it's amazing. It's fantastic.
You just have to lug around a record.
It's better. It's better than Blu-ray.
That can't be true.
It just failed. It just failed because it was so large.
It's better than HD DVD.
I don't even think it's better than that. I think it's better than VHS, and that's it.
Did all of you have the VHS?
I did. I don't have it anymore.
I think I did at some point. It may or may not be at my parents' house.
That was the first time the To Be Continued showed up. That wasn't in theaters.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
because that was only on the VHS.
Well, it's been on everything since. But,
but that came on the VHS.
Yep. Yeah, because they had no intention of making a sequel, and they finished that first movie, and then they're like, "Well, shit, we have a huge hit on our hands."
Yeah, well, Zemeckis always talks about how they wrote themselves.
And a great concept.
They wrote themselves into a corner with that ending.
Oh yeah.
Where they were like, "Shit, now we don't know what to do with Marty's girlfriend. We're gonna have to come up with some crazy plot excuse to get rid of her."
Mm-hmm. They do have some really nice. Best Buy has some steelbooks for the 4K that look incredible. Like I'm tempted to get it just for that reason.
It's a foul.
Probably already. It's going to be sold out by tomorrow if it's not already.
Oh, you think?
Those things sell out so fast. Best Buy steelbooks sell. Best Buy steelbooks, I guess, tend to sell fast, right, Corey? Or is it just the day they come out? Like if you didn't pre-order them, then you're not getting them.
It depends on the movie, but yeah, I mean the Marvel movies would sell out like almost instantly. Star Wars was kind of hard to find, but it depends on how cool it is too. Back to the Future, I can see selling out.
Are they exclusive one and done? If you don't get them, you never get them type deals, or?
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea that even existed.
Yeah, they have exclusive. They do exclusive like steelbooks, and then once they're gone, they're gone.
See, what you got to do is you got to learn to bot them, like all the fucking Mondo posters that I never got. Logging on 4 seconds after they go on sale, and they're all sold out. But I can buy them on eBay.
Yep,
for double or triple the price.
Salty as fuck that I didn't get that Ghostbusters one still.
Yeah, Bondo really gets you.
Yeah,
they do nothing about bots, man.
Yeah, it's like Ticketmaster too. Like all those ones, they just get completely destroyed by bots, and they mark them up so high on reselling. It's so annoying.
It's ridiculous. It's as simple as putting in a little check.
Did you see that? With the special features for this one, it's having like all new like audition footage that they've never shown before, like Ben Stiller, Keira Sedgwick,
oh my God, really?
John Cryer, like so many people, like
I was gonna ask
major celebrities that they've never shown audition footage for.
Ben Stiller?
Yeah, I don't know what roles.
John Cryer? How old was he when that came out?
Probably. I mean, he was in, 16 Candles. Which one was
one of those Molly Ringwald movies. He was
one of those movies.
Duck or Ducky or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was Pretty in Pink. That was only a couple years after. But I know Billy Zane's audition footage is gonna be on there.
Billy Zane.
I wonder if he auditioned for anything other than like Goon number 3.
Yeah, I'm sure he had to have.
They just wanted him to come in to show if he can bully around Marty McFly.
Is the animated series going to be included on that, like they did with the last one, the last set?
That I'm not sure.
Because if it is, then I will. I might get it. It's going to be very hard to not get it.
It's hard to quit Back to the Future, and every time they
Yeah.
put out a new box set.
You just not have to have no room in your house, man. It's super easy. I have nowhere to put stuff, therefore I can't buy stuff.
I don't buy physical movies anymore.
Yeah.
I don't. Except for the Dark Knight trilogy. I have those on 4K Blu-ray.
I don't have anything to play a physical copy of a movie.
Really?
I have my PS4, but it was sitting in the living room for 2 years prior to moving it upstairs because I bought the show, and even then, like, I'm not putting the DVD in that thing. That's all I have. I think I have a DVD player somewhere that's buried under years of dust. I get everything digitally. I've got Chromecasts. I have like $19 in Google Play Store credits, so I can pretty much rent whatever I want.
Yeah, but then when the internet goes out, you're like, where's my...
The internet never goes out, man.
When the
That
internet
is
leaves
why-
you one day, you're going to be like, why didn't I buy more physical content?
If the internet
That is
goes
why
out, the
you have
power's probably
everything
gone
backed
out,
up.
and you can't watch a DVD either.
No, because I'm going to go start up my PS4 to try and play a DVD, and it says, "Oh, you're going to have to update me to play a DVD, asshole." And then the internet's gone, so I'll smash it with a bat.
It's a fair point.
I'll be free
the main
from that
reason-
garbage console.
It's the main reason why I'm backing up all my purchases, my movie purchases.
That's true too. Yeah, I have a bunch saved on my phone, but yeah, I don't know. I'll just act out movies like in Tropic Thunder when
Yeah.
everything goes to shit. I'll kidnap Ben Stiller and make him put a mop on his head and do do Simple Jack for me just over and over again.
Yeah, after rebuying so many my DVDs on Blu-ray, I like said to myself that this generation, like, I won't do it. I'm just gonna keep the ones on deep Blu-ray that I've got on Blu-ray. So far, I've been good, but I don't know how much longer it's gonna last before. I feel like once I get one, I'm just gonna keep on buying like things I don't need.
Slippery slope.
Exactly. So I'm trying to be good.
I don't really see that much of a benefit with 4K Blu-ray. It depends on the movie, actually, like more so than before. If the movie was shot in a really, with really nice cameras and like they spent time putting it on 4K Blu-ray, then it looks better, like the colors and just everything. But there's a lot of movies out there that just, they don't look any better. It's just, they're trying to make, an extra buck.
That's actually shocking for me to hear coming from your mouth. You're like technology, dude.
Of course, like
Like
what?
you're always
How dare
big
you say
in,
that?
Like the newest and the brightest. You had an HD DVD player, son,
I did. With my
and a
Xbox
Blu-ray
360.
player.
I did.
Yeah, what was the PSP UMDs?
Oh
called?
shit! I had Ghostbusters on UMD. I probably still have. I bought it in an airport somewhere.
The only thing I had was Spider-Man 2 because it came for free with the system.
Oh shit!
I actually don't think I ever bought a UMD movie. I got Spider-Man. I don't remember buying a movie though.
I bought at least one, and then I jailbroke it and put movies on it.
I think I might have had Hollow Man.
Why?
I feel like I had Hollow Man. I don't know.
To see that,
But I
titty
remember having
on a PSP.
I remember having Hollow Man in my my library for whatever reason.
You were a perverted teenager. I guess that's the only reason that anyone would have Hollow Man.
Yeah.
All I
Guilty
want to
as
do is
charged.
watch Kevin Bacon go invisible and molest women.
God, it's so horrible. I very much prefer the new Invisible Man.
Someone had to do the CGI for that scene too, and that probably took hours, especially back then.
Yeah,
He
I feel
probably had
bad
to
for
watch Kevin Bacon
Kim
suckle
Dickens
on
and-
something for a while just to get the motions down. Like they
Jesus
gave him
Christ.
a melon or something, like a cantaloupe. He just watched Kevin Bacon suckle on a cantaloupe for hours.
That poor man.
Yeah, think about that.
All right, I don't want him. So on that note, let's fucking go. All right, so welcome everyone to Live Breathe Film. You're here for episode 8. You're also here with Corey, Doug, JP, and myself, Murph. So thank you as always for joining us. Our main topic for today is R-rated films of our youth, so primarily movies from 80s and 90s. But before we get to that, let's run through some news and what we watched this past week. So the big, no shocker, it's the big news nearly every week. Tenet, once again, has a new release date. Its rollout was confirmed this past week. We had mentioned on our last episode that it was going to be an unconventional rollout, and it is. What they are doing is releasing August 26th overseas in the majority of the world on August 26th. A few more countries shortly thereafter. Then in the United States on 9/3, September 3rd, followed by the stragglers later in the month. But on September 3rd for the U.S. release, it's going to be a limited one. So they've yet to detail what that exactly means, like whether drive-ins are going to be involved in that limited release, or if it's only going to be like AMCs and Cinemarks that are open by then, because at this point they're supposed to be opening in August. But let's say the theaters are open 9/3. This actually happens. And now the drive-ins, because drive-ins, you don't have anything to worry about or anything like that. If an AMC is playing Tenet September 3rd, are you guys going to see it?
I'd have to think about it, but I definitely want to. But I think if I did go see it, I probably would try to go at a time where it wouldn't be super busy, or try to. Maybe like during the day, a weird showing in the afternoon.
They're going to play hooky?
If
Put an
I
away
can.
message up for a couple hours? Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah.
You
could do that.
I mean, you have to imagine that there's going to be some sort of precautions going on at the theaters. So whether it's every other seat or three seats in between.
Yeah.
Assuming like something like that's in place, I'd be willing to consider it. I mean, I went to Walmart the other day to get something, and that place is like almost like shoulder to shoulder. It was pretty scary. So I think if theaters are doing it responsibly, I'd consider it.
I mean, I must be going out a lot more than you guys do, because I go to the food store like every other day, maybe. I'm out and about. Just
why are you going to the?
I mean, I'm not afraid, dude. I wear my
No,
mask.
I think he's wondering why
you
you need to go to the food store that often.
Oh, because I'm incredibly short-sighted. I go out and I buy stuff for dinner for one night. I spend $175 because groceries prices have gone
They
through
really
the roof.
have increased a lot.
It's ridiculous. And then I come home and I realize I only bought one meal, and then I realize I'm gonna have to go back out the next day and get something else. So, I'm that's just what I do, man. I just feel like, I don't know, going to a movie for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, sit there, wear your mask if you're not eating. I'm not too worried. If it's every other row, if they're putting 5 seats between people, 2 seats between people, I wouldn't be super worried. I mean, life's got to go on at some point, and yeah, I mean, as long as the person next to you is not coughing a lung out, I think you'll be all right.
If it's standard seating, are you? Does that change things for you? Or are you still going?
Oh, if I got someone sitting next to me?
Yeah.
Hell no, because I've become a shut-in and I don't want to be that close to people anymore. I don't think even sans virus I ever want someone sitting next to me in a movie theater again.
True. But they are all going to have like limited capacity. Like they already announced that.
Okay.
So
I would imagine it's 25% capacity, like any other like office building or anything like that.
But isn't the big thing with movie theaters like the recirculated air? Like, is that the issue that people have been talking about? Because, yeah, if you're going to be far away from people, then I wouldn't care at all. But I feel like there's been something about the air conditioning that I've heard is an issue.
I've heard so many things about it, and I honestly feel like there's just so much out there that no one has any idea what they're talking about. Yeah, it could be a problem, but I mean, people fly on airplanes now, and they're not. I mean, if you want to talk about recirculated air, the airplane is, the worst culprit of that.
Are you worried?
I don't know.
Are you worried about spoilers because it's opening so wide elsewhere before us?
No, I spoil every movie for myself almost regularly.
You never have to be worried then.
No, I don't live in fear.
I feel like, I mean, we all play video games, and we all play the big releases, a lot of, that come out in the year, and you just have to be a little, safe when you're roaming the internet.
Dude, right now on
And-
Twitter, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I'm going through this right now with The Last of Us, and every time I see someone talking about it on Twitter, because I don't follow like too many like video game accounts or anything like that, but I'll see like random like celebrities that I follow that are like, "Oh, I just beat Last of Us," and then I'm like, "Oh, get the fuck away from this tweet." I do not want to hear what they say. But my Twitter is so much different when it comes to film. Like, I feel like it'll be a lot tougher.
I think it's going to get harder as time goes on. I feel like we definitely, if you have to see it, within maybe like the first week or two, because it's just going to get more and more difficult, because more and more people are going to see it. More and more people are going to be talking about it online, especially if you're on Reddit, or, I mean, if you're just on like Twitter or Facebook, it's a little harder because you're in like your own social bubble to an extent. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a cause for concern, for sure.
Doug, you were going to say something
Yeah,
before? Or sorry, JP.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's a big concern. It's not always easy to avoid the spoilers, even if you're trying to stay away from everything. Like, let's say Last of Us. I mean, sometimes you'll just be on some random page and someone will just like blurt out, like, can't believe this is what happened in the end of Last of Us. And so, I mean, the good thing, I guess, is that it's overseas. So assuming you're one of the limited cities that it's going to release to, maybe you'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like Game of Thrones, you couldn't wait. Like, I had to watch it the night of, or you'd risk just going on Facebook, flipping through, and someone would be like, I can't believe that so-and-so died this week, or how about that red wedding, or just like, you just couldn't go anywhere.
That show was a special case, though.
Yeah, it was marketed
such
towards
a
people
phenomenon.
that can't keep secrets.
Yeah.
And everyone was able to watch it at once. I mean, we're going to be in areas where we're primarily friends on social media with people in our area, and if our area is not playing it, those people can't talk about it either. So I feel like we maybe have, at least when it comes to things like Facebook and Instagram, we'll have some success with staying away from stuff. But it'll be interesting. Doesn't seem like it's gonna be a widespread thing with movies, but we will know more at the end of August.
Yeah.
Speaking of other releases that have been delayed and that are going the more conventional route, at least as of now, and they're just pushing their dates back far in the future. We had basically two studios go about it with Paramount went all about it with just their two big films of this year, and Disney did a lot of delays with the next couple of years, bigger and smaller movies. We'll start with Disney. So right after Tenet, did their announcement last week about not opening when planned in the middle of August. Disney did the exact same thing with Mulan. We still have no idea when that film's coming out. They also announced that a couple of movies later this year are coming out at further dates. Murder on the Nile, the sequel to Murder on the Orient Express, that was pushed back a couple weeks in October. It'll now be coming out October 23rd. That film Antlers that we mentioned last week that had the Comic-Con at Home presence, that's now coming out all the way in February 19th. Wes Anderson's new movie, The French Dispatch, is now undated. So similar to Mulan, I imagine it will come out by February at the latest, so it could be in contention for Academy Awards. And then the biggest and funniest announcement is Avatar 2, which was supposed to have come out, I believe, in December 2014 originally, is now delayed another year and is coming out December of 2022.
Completely unrelated to Corona.
Yeah, right. So now all four of the Avatar sequels pushed back another year. We are getting closer to the fifth one coming out in 2030. It's crazy. It's going to be like a 30-year journey for James Cameron to do these 5 movies. But yeah.
Have they actually started filming the sequel
Oh
yet?
yeah, they've filmed I think majority of 2, 3 parts of 4.
Oh, okay.
It's the post production that they're not able to do right now for the most
Makes
recent
sense.
one, because I guess they have to be in the studio to do the type of work they're on, and it's in, I believe, in California, so they're shit out of luck right now. I think they're actually able to film the later sequels still, based on where they are. I think it's in maybe New Zealand or Australia, but those are still able to be worked on. But just because 2 can't get done, they all have to get pushed back, and the Star Wars movies have to get pushed back as well. So we were supposed to get a new trilogy that like alternated every year between the Avatar sequels and this new trilogy. So now that first chapter in the new trilogy won't be coming out till December of 2023. I believe that's the first one that Taika is directing. I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but he's the only director that's been announced so far. So I'm just going to throw a guess out there.
It's not the Rian Johnson ones.
Maybe it is. I mean, both of them are working on movies now. Like, I think Rian Johnson's working on
I thought they
Knives
would have
Out.
canned the Rian Johnson ones by now.
They had no problem making movies. I think that was the biggest thing, that they're like, all right, the fact that we were actually able to get production done without any problems, like even though there was a shitstorm when the movie was released and for the 2 years after, I think they just liked the convenience of making it.
He's a company man.
Mm.
Yeah, which is weird though, because he does things completely different than Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I think the delay for Star Wars is a good thing, because I think
For
they need to get
sure.
away from the stink that was Rise of Skywalker and just the negative reception or lack of, I guess, the indifference towards Solo, the mixed reaction to Last Jedi. I mean, the only success they've had, like unanimously or close to unanimously, is their TV show. So
The movies need a timeout for a little bit.
yeah, I absolutely,
For sure,
I
yeah.
absolutely think that.
Let the Obi-Wan show take over, get a little bit of that going on, and keep going with the Mandalorian, and you'll make people a lot more interested in Star Wars going forward. Yeah, like, if Star Wars came out in 2022, I would not be excited for it at all.
Yeah, it needs to be away for a while.
Yeah.
Let us get excited for it again. But Doug, with this Avatar postponement, I guess you're going to have to go to Disney World a couple more times to get your fix.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna be able to swim with the avatars until 2022 now, at the earliest. I mean, let's be real, it's probably not gonna be 2022.
Yeah, exactly. It probably will be 2023.
So yeah, I'll just have to wait on another 3-hour line to ride the Banshee at Disney.
I wouldn't be
I
surprised.
mean, it's a fantastic ride, though.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they re-release the first one at some point this year when movie theaters are starved for content. So maybe you can go see it in 3D. And did you see it originally in theaters?
Yeah, I did. And so I think, JP, you didn't see it in theaters originally, right?
I've never seen them.
You didn't miss it. You didn't miss anything.
I have no desire to see this movie at all. It doesn't look interesting.
You need to see it when it's back out in 3D.
I've watched Ferngully, Doug.
Your mind is going to be blown.
If I just turn the blue all the way up, it's the same movie.
It's not about the story, though. It's the visual experience. No movie does 3D better than Avatar.
I don't like 3D.
Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas.
That was
would
fantastic.
beg to differ,
That's
Doug,
true.
because
That was probably the only good 3D movie I've ever seen.
the ones that make like a joke out of it are the best ones. Like Jackass 3,
Yeah.
Harold and Kumar.
For sure.
Those are by far my favorites. Oh, actually, I'm lying. Spider-Verse
2.
was my favorite. That was incredible, and I cannot wait to see Spider-Verse 2 in 3D.
Yeah, that was cool.
They did that in 3D? I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
and it was the first time I was ever like blown away by 3D in a theater.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Because, it's a cartoon.
Exactly.
It's like being on one
and
of
it
those
was like
Disney
an
rides.
acid trip type of cartoon with
Mm-hmm.
super unique visuals. So it was a little different.
Transformers: Dark of the Moon.
That to me would be horrifying because you can't tell what's going on without the 3D. It's just like metal everywhere, and then so it's just like metal everywhere coming at you.
I remember vividly after that movie was over, I just wanted to go to bed. My brain and my eyes were exhausted. I literally,
We probably went to the bar for like 3 hours after.
yeah, I think we did, but I felt like I just wanted to go to sleep. Like I played a video game for like a day straight. It was exhausting, but fun.
And then the other studio that announced some changes was Paramount. So they have completely abandoned 2020 and have gone all in on 2021, similar to Sony and Universal. So A Quiet Place Part 2 has moved from its Labor Day release date all the way to April 23rd, which is over a year after it was originally supposed to come out. And Top Gun Maverick has moved to the 4th of July holiday weekend, which is, again, more than a year after it was supposed to come out. I have to imagine that will have repercussions or ramifications on Mission Impossible 7. I doubt they will put both of those films out in like 4 or 5 months apart from one another. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Mission Impossible 7 and 8 also get pushed back. But we'll probably hear about that maybe later at the end of the year or something like that. But are you guys going to be checking out both of those when they come out?
I still haven't seen the first Quiet Place. My wife recommends it, but I don't like being scared, and I'm also scared of Tom Cruise, so I might pass on Top Gun.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Top Gun is, it's nostalgic. I enjoyed it when I was a kid, so I'll definitely see that. And Quiet Place was a fantastic film, so yeah, I'll be there for that as well. What were you gonna say, Doug?
I was just gonna say I saw one of the last movies I saw in theaters was 1917 in IMAX, in true IMAX, which was amazing, by the way. But one of the previews we got for that was Top Gun, and Top Gun in like true IMAX with like all the sound blaring looked amazing. I mean, it looked like, you could feel like the jets taking off and just like I was not excited for Top Gun.
You could feel Top Gun,
the
or you
sequel.
could feel Tom Cruise playing beach volleyball.
You could, you could feel all the shirtless action of volleyball on the big screen. But no, seriously, like your chair is like, with the way the sound was, like your chair is basically rumbling when these like the jets take off, and so that kind of got me excited for it. And then it was like, guess I'm not going to see it now
for a long time,
another year.
Yeah, that's definitely an IMAX movie, though, without a doubt. But the fact that Paramount has completely abandoned 2020, that kind of makes me nervous about all the other movies coming out this year, because not even so much A Quiet Place, because that's only a little over a month from now, but if Top Gun is going to move from a prime Christmas release date, that means they're confident that things are going to not be well at movie theaters in December. So do you think we're going to see a lot more movies get pushed? I mean, at this point, it's really just Warner Brothers and Disney that are still all aboard 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
They could just be very conservative, and it may lead to some of these more risk-taking studios just as a feeding frenzy. I mean, no one's going to be able to predict the future. I don't think Paramount has any, insider information that we're not getting, or maybe that the other studios aren't getting. They don't have, ears on the ground inside the CDC. I feel like if you want, start taking some chances, start stealing their release dates.
Yeah, I mean, something is definitely going to move into that spot.
For sure. Yeah.
Tenet already moved into
really
a Quiet Place spot.
Yeah. It's just a really conservative approach, and, that could work out for them, and it could end up biting them in the ass.
Yeah. Right now, I think the biggest question mark of the year with what movie will probably move, but not so much a question mark, but what movie I think will probably move is Bond. I think that'll move again, which sucks. Because I've said this before in text messages and stuff like that. MGM needs this movie to make as much money as humanly possible, because they live and die on Bond movies. Mm-hmm. If a Bond movie dies, they might just go out of business. Or if a Bond movie bombs. So Paramount's kind of in a similar situation where their movies, they don't have many franchises, so every one that they do have needs to be a hit. So maybe that's just the reason. And they're like, all right, we got to let's just in case, let's get a good release date for 2021. Because we are confident things will definitely be as back to normal as possible by that point.
Seems like if they can't risk it, then why? Those movies can really come out at any point in time, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like July 4th for Top Gun is
It is perfect.
Yeah,
it is perfect.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
They'll make it,
which is why it was going to come out in the end of June this year, until it got pushed to Christmas. Yeah. Moving on to some TV that's coming out this week on Netflix. The Umbrella Academy, I guess season 2. Gerard Way's comic from My Chemical Romance. I am not up on it. I'm just familiar with the fact that it exists. So I'll let you guys talk about this one.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. But did you, Doug? You saw it, right?
Yeah, I saw it. I know you read the comics, which I'm not familiar with at all. But I thought the concept was pretty cool. It's Murph, since you haven't seen it. I mean, just the overall gist of it is that this guy gets these 7 kids together to form basically like the X-Men.
Okay.
Except for he's not Professor Xavier. He's basically just exploits the kids for his own benefit, and he's like a horrible father figure to them. And so they all have issues, and it's kind of you're kind of just brought in with those characters and the issues that they have. And so I think the issues make them pretty interesting. The cast is pretty decent. You got the guy that played Ed Kemper
on Mindhunter.
Is in this on Mindhunter, who I think he's an awesome actor. I mean, he killed it as Ed Kemper. Probably one of the creepiest performances I've seen.
No pun intended.
And he's a completely different character in this movie. He's very much less creepy. And then you got like Tom Hopper, and then Ellen Page is probably their big name that they got.
Ellen Page is on the show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to season 2. Yeah, I thought it was fun. They have this talking ape or chimpanzee that's like in a butler role. I thought the CGI was really well done for him. I thought the CGI was done pretty well overall for a TV show. I don't know how big their budget was, but yeah, I enjoyed it, and that's kind of so. You may want to check it out before season 2 drops. I know JP. I think you've got.
Yeah, I have a couple more episodes to go. I watched it when it came out. I tried to give it a fair shake, and it ended up losing me at some point. Everyone was so moody, and now finding out that Gerard Way wrote it, it kind of makes.
You didn't know that?
It feels like an emo band. No, I had no idea, but it makes perfect sense.
I am sorry for ruining that for you.
Yeah, yeah, which means I probably won't go and watch season 2 because I don't want to watch My Chemical Romance, the TV show. It's one of those superhero shows where there's no fighting. There's 1 or 2 really good fight scenes, and then the rest of it is them being moody. And it just feels like that took me out for Watchmen, where there were no good fight scenes in Watchmen except for the one time when none of them were wearing costumes and they got mugged. I guess there's the prison fight too in Watchmen, but I don't know. It seemed a little boring. I don't know if it picks up towards the end. I like the general story of, one of their siblings comes back and tells them about the end of the world, and they're out to try and prevent that. And it's a neat concept. It just lost me a little bit along the way. I mean, I will probably go back and try and finish it, and see if it's worth actually entertaining the idea of season 2. But right now,
I think it's Netflix's most watched TV show, if I'm not mistaken.
I remember the buzz being huge about it. I talked to a lot of people about it when it first came out, and then a couple weeks later, it just sort of went.
Yeah, I guess I just sort of completely erased it from my mind because, like, now that you mentioned Ellen Page being in it, I can kind of remember her casting announcement from years back.
She's kind of the main character. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of. It's interesting. I don't want to give too much away about the plot, but I thought it was interesting. I thought all those characters were pretty interesting. The character that goes back in time and warns them is basically like this adult mind trapped in a kid's body, which is pretty humorous, and I thought that kid does an awesome job.
I liked him as an actor. He was really, really good.
Yeah, so it's I think it's worth checking out. I mean, I don't know that it's going to be up there with another show that JP didn't like, which was Watchmen, but
No, he didn't. JP didn't like the
show,
movie.
the movie.
Oh, the movie, okay.
Which is a totally fair assessment.
Well, I was very disappointed that you didn't like the show, but I'm glad it was the movie. Yeah. But yeah, Murph, you should check it out before season 2 drops.
No, I will have to check it out. You've sold me. But yeah, let's go into Comic-Con at home. We talked about it last week, did a little bit of a preview. It has now taken place. So let's jump through some of the highlights. So starting with TV, we have a show that 3/4 of us love and a quarter of us is about to love, since he's 3 episodes into it, is The Boys on Amazon. So they had a panel leading up to season 2, which starts in, I believe, September 3rd or September 4th, one of the two. At the panel, they officially confirmed that a season 3 is happening. So Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg were involved. They came out and, well, didn't come out, but I guess showed up on a Zoom and announced it. So we have that to look forward to in the future. I know that's one of Amazon's bigger TV shows, maybe even their biggest one right now. So I'm sure that they're very excited about a new season as well. They showed a new clip. If anyone watches The Boys, you know it was absolutely fucking insane. To anyone who does not know what The Boys is, it's a TV show about superheroes that have basically they basically work for a corporation, and they're similar to celebrities now. They all have their social media pages, everything like that. They're just famous, and they're also dickheads. On the other end of the spectrum, we have The Boys, who are vigilantes looking to stop the soups from all the illegal shenanigans that they're up to and kind of expose them for the dirtbags that they are. So super funny show. Stars Carl Urban. Who else we got? Chase Crawford, Jack Wade.
Simon Pegg.
Yeah, Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg.
It's a good cast. Mostly, I would say, faces you might recognize, but not so much well-known names. But I think by the time season 3 airs, I think season 2 is going to blow up based on the amount of people who watched 1, not necessarily last summer when it debuted, but over the years since, including Corey and myself. So I'm excited to see that buzz really grow into something big, because it is a crazy show that's funny, full of good action scenes. And
what it kind of reminded me of when I was watching this? It reminded me of Mystery Men and Greg Kinnear's character, Captain Amazing, where he comes in, he does all this stuff, and he's got sponsors all over his super suit. I got real vibes from that. It's just the idea of corporately backed superheroes is pretty funny.
Definitely.
And kind of shockingly real, because I feel like that's what
that it feels real.
All of a sudden.
This is what would happen if there were superheroes in 2020.
It's absurdly real.
It's crazy that it's another successful show that's based off of, a graphic novel, comic book. It's funny how those.
I know Doug loves the creator of the show, so I think
Eric Kripke.
I think Garth Ennis was the one who did the comic. I think. But
and Simon Pegg was originally like the inspiration for Huey.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he ends up playing his dad on the show.
Yeah, I read that.
Oh wow.
But I think the showrunner that they got for that is awesome. I think it's in good hands with Kripke. I thought he did a fantastic job with the first, I think it was 4 seasons of the show Supernatural, which
has been on for like
was on CW.
It's been on for like 20 years.
I still need to watch that.
Yeah, but he did a story in 4 seasons, and then he walked away and said, "This is my story. I'm done." And then they just kept going with it, and it's kind of like when you could tell when he leaves because the show just immediately drops off a cliff as far as quality.
Has he had any input on like the end of the show? Because I know it's on the final season now.
I think he walked away after
He
because
just did
4 he
nothing
basically
after.
ended it.
Yeah.
Where it was like, it's done, and then they rewrote it for the next season where they basically undid everything he did.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan was on that show, I guess, when he was involved in it on Supernatural, and there's been a lot of hope that and rumors that he will be finally on the show for season 3. So he'll kind of split duties with Walking Dead and The Boys. That would be so cool because he is such a good actor on Walking Dead. And speaking of The Walking Dead, let's jump right into that since that was the next thing. At Comic-Con, it was a really weird situation what they did because just to give you guys a background, the last season, like season 10, it ended with 1 episode left in the season. I guess they'd filmed the episode, but they couldn't finish the CGI for that episode, just that episode. So they were like, all right, it aired the 15 episodes prior of the season, and like the last one we'll hold until we can finish doing. So now they announced at Comic-Con at Home that this season finale, I put it in air quotes, is coming out in October, but they are adding another 6 episodes to that season that will be airing at the beginning of 2021. So I've never heard that before, that so late into a season, did you just decide to add an entire back half? Like, it's essentially just another half season because they typically do 8 episodes. So it's this extra 6 is just a little less than what they usually do for half season. And then they're also going to do a season 11 in 2021. So there's going to be a lot of Walking Dead in 2021. I know you guys, all of you ducked out of that show at one point or another, right?
Season 2.
Yeah, what is
I don't know why I still watch it.
I want to go back. I just now it's.
I mean, I know
daunting.
why. I kind of enjoy it.
Is it still popular?
Not as much.
It drops every season, but I think it's still the number 1 show on cable.
Wow.
I think I've been hearing though that people are saying the quality's gone up in the last couple of seasons.
I am one of those people.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, maybe it's just been you.
Probably heard it from me. But yes, the past 2 seasons, they did a flash forward, and it has gotten like exponentially better than it was for a while before that. That's a show that kind of just ebbs and flows. Like, it'll be kind of boring. You just going through the motions, you watch it just to watch it. But then it has other seasons that are like legitimately good. And I think a lot of it has to do with like what villains they bring into the show and things like that. They're kind of have to rely on a cool new character to bring some life back into things, especially because it's a show that kills characters and brings new ones in on such a regular basis. But I don't know. I'm still going to be watching it. At this point, I'm going to watch it till it ends. I feel it would be silly to stop at season 10 when I can't imagine it goes too much longer. But based on based on the number of episodes they just added, clearly they have lots of faith in the show still. So it might be on for another decade. It'll be like Supernatural.
So what was it clear what is the finale still going to be as planned?
I guess now it's a mid-season
and then they
finale.
continue onwards, or
I guess they're going to add probably a like mid-credit scene or something like that,
like an epilogue or something.
Because I don't know how you turn a season finale, because season finales are usually so definitively finales, and then just be like, oh, by the way, there's 6 more episodes in this season, when that wasn't the plan.
And then another season on top of that.
And a whole other season right on top of that later that year. So it's very strange. I've never seen anything like this before. So I just wanted to get your thoughts and give you guys this very strange update because I figured you weren't in the loop on what AMC's doing with their zombie shows.
It piques my curiosity now. Now I feel like I should go and binge, the 10 seasons.
Yeah, no. Well, I watched the 7 you missed.
Yeah.
Moving on to movies at Comic-Con. The first one was, well, we talked about both of these last week a little bit. Bill and Ted Face the Music. So we've got a new trailer, a new poster. Both of them came out. We'll talk about the trailer in a minute. We also have a new release date. It pushed back a couple weeks. They are doing something different than all the other delays we talked about earlier. They are doing a simultaneous limited theatrical release in the U.S. along with video on demand. So they're doing more like what Trolls World Tour did, but the difference here is that movie theaters will actually be open other than just drive-ins. So I think that was really all there was when the Trolls sequel came out. So I'm wondering, if you have the option of seeing it in theaters or VOD, what are you guys going to do?
Right now, VOD, most likely.
And this is the first week
VOD,
of September, by the way, September 1st. So a couple days before Tenet.
Yeah, I mean, this movie I don't need, specifically, I don't need to see in theaters. I mean, I would like to, but it's not like a movie that I need to go and see in theaters. I'm fine seeing it on demand.
If it's in a drive-in, I'll go see it in a drive-in.
You've been to a drive-in theater before, right, JP?
Yeah, I almost got killed on the way home.
On Clinton Road. What movie did you see? Did you see a double feature?
Yeah, I think we saw double. I do not remember.
You got to look at your tickets from back in the day.
I think I finished that actually.
My lord.
I don't think they survived the multiple moves since then, but yeah, I forget what we saw. It was terrible, and I'd never really driven to one before, and I was hitting my brake pedal and pissing people off half the time. I had someone knock on my window and tell me to stop doing that.
That does not sound fun.
Maybe they chased me home. Who knows?
We'll figure out what those movies were and then report back. But what about you, Doug? Would you do VOD or theater?
I would definitely do VOD. I mean, I think it's the perfect movie to just like pour a beer, sit down, relax, get a little tipsy, and just like enjoy the stupidity that's going to be Bill and Ted 3. And I mean that in like the kindest way. I mean, it's good. It's going to be ridiculous.
What are they? The Wild Stallions? Is that what their band is?
Yeah, it's the Wild Stallions. I mean, I'm hoping it just goes even further into crazy than Bogus Journey. I mean, Bogus Journey is just bonkers.
It's a bizarre movie.
Yeah, I don't know
you got me hyped to watch this movie now.
Yeah, Bogus Journey is insane.
It's just.
I just finally watched Excellent Adventure this past week based on the new one coming out and what you guys said about the movies, and it was enjoyable. But you make it sound like 2 is way better, so I'm really excited to check it out.
I don't want to say it's necessarily way better, but it's nothing like the first one. It's one of those sequels where they were just like, oh, that was cute, where we had a time machine and we traveled through history. Now we're just going to fucking blow that up and do just like craziness.
Hey, what if we had a time machine that went to hell? And that's exactly what they do.
I like seeing Samara Weaving from Ready or Not. I like that she's in it.
Bill's daughter.
Yep. I didn't realize that she was in it, but from the poster, I noticed her.
Yeah, she was so good in Ready or Not. So,
yeah.
And she's very funny, at least in that movie. So she should bring some good energy to this one. What do you guys think of the trailer? It looks kind of like a passing the torch type of thing, like with their kids. Did you get that vibe at all from the trailer?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I mean,
JP doesn't seem happy about passing the torches.
I don't like
He's not about the opening ceremony of the Olympics. Is that what they do in those? They pass the torch?
Yeah.
No, just give me like the gymnastics or the
just the classics. You want Michael Phelps in a pool, and you just want to see the pro. You don't need to see this passing the torch.
I just want to see Bill and Ted 3. I don't want to see Bill and Ted the potential, not Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted's
follow-up
daughters.
9 movies starring, people I don't care about because it's a dead movie series that they're trying to revive now. Honestly, it should just be a last hurrah. And
I want a side movie with death and just death. Just William Sadler. That's all I would love that.
William Sadler and NoHo Hank. It could be death and death.
It would
Dude,
be
I'm so
amazing.
happy. NoHo Hank is in this movie.
What a great
he's
actor.
amazing.
Just
Was he in the trailer at all? I didn't see him.
I
Yeah,
didn't see
he's
him either.
definitely in it
No,
though.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I remember him being casted, like mentioning his casting. It's coming back.
Well, it will be out soon. Maybe.
Did you guys think? Speaking about the trailer, did you guys think Keanu still seemed like a bit off?
Yes.
Or he just doesn't.
That was something I was
doesn't
thinking
feel
of,
like.
actually. Alex Winter
'cause he's not
Alex Winter
murdering
seems
people.
way more in character.
Yeah, you just saw the movies, so I mean, you have a good feel for what Bill and Ted are, and Alex Winter is Bill still. It seems like.
Yeah, I feel like Keanu is a little afraid to ham it up.
But
He
why?
was. I mean, it was a voice performance, but he was super hammy in Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
Oh, was he?
But I guess it's a little different when you're just recording your voice versus actually performing.
Yeah, I mean, he's spent the last 6 years murdering people on screen.
He's been doing that for way longer than
yeah.
6 years.
The Matrix, yeah. But I mean, John Wick is just murder city, so it's hard to get into.
I also think that we just were so used to seeing him as John Wick, so that's kind of something to overcome. Maybe as the movie kind of unfolds, maybe it'll be a little bit better and not as noticeable. But I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last film to talk about, which is our favorite film to kind of beat the hell up just because it's such a ridiculous situation, is The New Mutants.
Still coming.
It is still coming. They claim it is still coming out on what is it now? August 28th. The New Mutants is supposed to open. They're not even talking limited. They're just going all in. New Mutants is coming everywhere.
Broadcast into your house, into your.
It's going to be the #1 movie in America that week.
It's such a clear sign that they just don't give a shit about this movie. The fact that it still has a release date for the end of August, while everything else has been moved to later in the year, next year. They just wanted to. They just wanted to die.
They release it.
And it was so.
They release it to a country with no theaters open. Just do that.
It was so funny watching all the
You
cast
will.
members just like joking about the fact that it's, and the director, like, this was supposed to come out a really long time ago, and it's been pushed back 4 times already.
It just seemed like too with Bill and Ted doing that movie theater release and VOD at the same time. Like, why not?
That's their only option.
Why not take that model?
They can't. I read they can't do like a Disney Plus, Hulu type thing because HBO has the rights to streaming for all Fox movies on their first release. So that's why they can't do a Disney Plus, Hulu thing. So your only options are VOD, which they did in the spring with a couple of movies after they were in theaters for a little bit, or theaters.
They got on the hook for a lot of money with this movie because this should have just been released to VOD months ago.
Yeah.
I wonder if
They did show the first 3 minutes, and it did look kind of cool.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
There's bears.
There are bears.
Did
there are bears in this movie.
Did you guys hear during the panel that originally
Demon
it was supposed to
bears.
be a trilogy, a horror trilogy? Like that was the original
I did hear
plan.
It was supposed to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
No,
It's
I
supposed
hope
to be a
it's
Mar-
not
it was supposed to be a
cliffhanger.
Mar-
Spoiler
horror
alert, it will not be a horror trilogy anymore.
Thought that was wild.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like you said, Murph, they'll do what they did before, or did with their other movies where they just had it out in theaters for a very, very short period of time, and then it goes on VOD.
Yeah, something like Onward.
But I mean, as far as losing money, I think when Disney merged with Fox, they kind of knew that this was going to be like
Right.
a loss for them.
Yeah, but they still put more. They still put more money.
I want to
into it.
see it, but I do love watching it get pushed back over and over again, just because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's worth the wait.
Last minute,
It won't.
it gets pushed. It gets pushed until 2021.
I say it won't because nothing can live up to 3 years of anticipation of delays like it's been going through. But
It's
we'll
going to
see.
get pushed back to 2021. Then they're going to announce 2 sequels simultaneously after the push.
I mean, if we're lucky, it'll come out before Avatar 2. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Well, can you
'Cause
imagine?
those two are fighting more than any other movie on release date delays.
Can you imagine if the movie somehow is like, in whatever way possible, a hit, and they end up doing those 2 sequels?
They won't. Feige will just let it die, like even if it makes money.
Yeah, well, it screws up their whole X-Men
Yeah.
plan.
There's no-
right?
there's
It's
no
not
shot.
Feige didn't plan this.
No, yeah, that's true.
It's the
So it's
the adopted child that he did not want. But let's move on to what we watched over this past week. Get out of the news segment. Anyone in particular want to go first? Corey?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. I watched randomly. I wanted a High Fidelity with John Cusack. Jack Black's in it. I think it came out in 2000.
It did.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in a long time, and it was kind of, I wanted to watch a movie around music, and I already watched Empire Records recently. So I decided to, dive into High Fidelity again, and it still holds up. The music's fantastic. Awesome soundtrack. John Cusack is phenomenal. It's a very quirky love story, a romance. It reminds me a lot of like a Molly Ringwald movie from the 80s. I think that's kind of what they were going for.
It's got John Cusack, so it's got to have that 80s.
Yeah. Oh, Joan
anything.
Cusack is in it too, I think. She has like a little cameo.
Yeah, she's in so many of his movies.
Yeah. He's just,
Yeah.
the one thing about his character is I realized that he's not very likable. Like he's
Oh no, he's huge. Yeah, he's a
He
huge dick.
is-
I didn't realize that until like later in my life.
he is such a dick, and like the monologues that he has about talking about his past loves and this and that, and how he treats like his employees in the record store is like he literally beats them up. Like he throws Jack Black and strangles him like so many times in the movie. But yeah, I mean it's a fun movie. It's got
Tim Robbins.
Tim Robbins as a
Ooh.
yeah, and
Good
he
actor.
plays. He reminded me of the character that he played in Pick a Destiny, a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, he's more of a hippie in this movie, but he just looks exactly like him. I forgot his name.
I love the imaginary scene where they're beating the shit out of Tim Robbins.
Oh yeah, he gets bashed in the face, he has his teeth knocked out with like a stereo or something like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's very enjoyable. I didn't think it was gonna hold up as well as it did, but it definitely does. It's almost like kind of like a timeless type of movie that you can just go.
Are you gonna watch the TV show now?
I really want to. I haven't really looked into it. Is it kind of the same format, just with Zoe Bell Kravitz is just the John Cusack character?
You just combine a couple people.
Or,
Just
Zoe
just
Kravitz,
Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Bell Kravitz, whatever. Zoe Bell. But
Yeah, it's
Zoe Kravitz, yeah.
Yeah, it's the similar take as the book and the movie, but from a female perspective.
Got it.
Um,
Who else is in it?
and I think the character's bi, so she has like boyfriends and girlfriends, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I've seen the commercial about 8 billion
What-
times. That seems
What
to be the
network is it on, or channel, streaming service, whatever?
case.
It's on Hulu?
Hulu
Okay.
is on.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's a Hulu original,
Yeah.
I think, right?
yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I mean,
Did you pick up on the Zoe Kravitz connection with the movie from watching the movie?
I did not. No.
Lisa Bonet.
Is Lenny Kravitz.
Oh, yeah, that's
Hmm.
true. Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
realized that she was in it, but I didn't
Yeah,
connect.
her mom.
Yeah, I didn't connect
Yeah.
that, that it was, kind of a nod to that in the show. I thought she was just in it. That it was just a
Yeah, it definitely helped her get the role, I would imagine. I mean, she's a star in her own right.
Yeah.
I don't think she needed that connection, but it's a fun little
yeah, definitely is.
Connection.
I thought it was a coincidence, but yeah, that is cool. I'll definitely check it out. I have it on my list, my short list of things to watch, along with Walking Dead now.
yeah, your list is not short at all.
No.
Let's completely go random. And Doug, you're up.
Oh shit.
Well, I am not ready. No, I'm just, so I was surprised that this was not on the multiple people watched. But I saw the recently released TV show Indian Matchmaking on Netflix. And so it's basically, if you're not familiar with the concept, which I'm sure you guys are well familiar with it.
Of course we all know the concept.
But it's a reality TV show where these Indian families have like a son or daughter that they're looking for that son or daughter to find a nice Indian person to marry, and so there's this matchmaker that just sets them up on these dates. And so of course there's like the person that everybody loves to hate, the Indian woman. Her name's Aparna, and she just sucks and is really terrible and mean to everybody she's on the date with. And so it's really scratching the itch just for my wife, especially for not being able to watch like Bachelor or other reality TV. This is kind of filling that void for her. She's got the character she loves to hate. Interesting enough, there's one of the Indian women that's being set up on this matchmaker show is from New Jersey. And so there's scenes where she goes out on a date in Montclair.
Oh, really?
Which I thought was super cool. And they actually go to Vanilla Moore.
Oh, Reese's place.
Which is Reese's place.
That's awesome.
Which is somebody that we went to high school with. So I was like shocked that they were there. And that's the place that they picked in the Montclair area. And then she goes, I think it was still her. She goes on a date with somebody. And there's a video chat, and it was like a guy I went to law school with. And I was like, who would have thought that Indian matchmaking, I'd have all these like connections. But apparently I do. Indian matchmaking has been like hot on social media right now. I guess there's a lot of controversy about it promoting like, arranged marriages and everything that goes on in India that they're trying to break away from. They kind of make light of it. And so it's gotten some negative buzz, I think, on social, but it's kind of a guilty pleasure right now, especially for my wife. So
does she not watch 90 Day Fiance? Because I'm in that pool swimming.
I was just going to mention that.
It is a nightmare, but it is fun to watch.
What's 90 Day?
You've never heard of it?
Oh my goodness!
I've never even watched it, and I know it.
It's people from America meeting someone from another country, and this season they go to the other country instead of them coming to America, and they basically have 90 days to get married from the visa. I guess it's different when they go to other countries, but they follow them for 90 days, and then they just go through how insane these people are for wanting to, marry someone from another country that they can only see for 90 days before they get married. Because you're not allowed to visit if you apply for a K-1 visa, because then it shows that you can be married and live in two different countries, and why should we have to bring them over to our country? It's definitely worth the watch. There's the last couple seasons we've been watching here is It's like watching a train wreck.
Interesting. And it's
less gore.
And they're all clearly in it to get a visa.
No. Most of them genuinely love each other. Some of them are very much in it just to get a visa. And there are some where they don't even speak the same language and they speak through a phone, which is really, really interesting.
It is also on my short list.
That is interesting.
It's worth.
Is that available? I mean,
speak right now.
So this had the appeal of being
app.
on Netflix. Oh, okay. So this TLC app,
so
90 Day Fiance.
Yeah. There's also about, I think, 15 seasons if you really want to get deep into the woods there.
Well, yeah, you need to there's probably reoccurring characters, and you got to get in on the
I could drop another one on you. Married at First Sight. That's a great one. There's about 9 seasons of that.
All of these are on the Learning Channel.
I don't know what. I think it's on Netflix or something like that. That was playing in my house for a while. That's truly wild.
They really have pivoted from that name, similar to MTV.
I think they don't even go by the Learning Channel anymore. It's just TLC. Forget whatever that stood for. It's just TLC.
You will not learn anything.
Tender Love and Crazies. That's pretty much it.
All right, JP. How about
a list of horrible TV shows?
Yeah, but yes, you have to give Doug your list of shows to watch.
Yeah. So I went the Amazon Prime route. This was recommended to me, and this was actually not an insane movie. Which
not
was
like
nice.
Beverly Loughlin.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, I've righted the ship. I'm back on the smooth sailing waters of sanity. I watched The Vast of Night, which is a movie directed by a man named Andrew Patterson, which I looked up on IMDb, and apparently this is his directorial debut. It is an Amazon Studios production, so it's one made in-house for Amazon Prime. It's a cool little movie. It's only about an hour and a half, and it starts out and kind of sets up like an episode of The Twilight Zone in this fake TV show called the Paradox Theater. So they start off with this old school television show, and they set up the TV, the episode in black and white, and then you zoom in and you basically live in that episode, and it looks like one continuous shot, and then to break up scenes they zoom back out into the television show and switch to different kind of times or areas. It all occurs in one night, and it's about aliens. It's pretty cool. It's got like a Super 8 vibe to it, where there's weird alien things going on in this small town, and these two kids pick up on it. They're like high school age kids. One works at the phone switching board because it takes place in I believe the 50s or the 40s, kind of right after World War II. And her friend is the radio host for an overnight radio show, and they hear these crazy distortions over the radio and over the phone lines, and they suss this whole thing out, and they investigate it, and they talk to people, and they don't want to spoil too much, but there are aliens. It's great.
Sounds
I mean,
neat.
like I said, it's an hour and a half. It's really well shot. It's got this great feel to it, and I highly recommend watching it because it's a really fun movie to watch. And it's got those little things that if you watch Twilight Zone as much as I do, it really feels like an episode of the Twilight Zone that they extended into a full movie.
Well, that's an endorsement from you because you're a huge Twilight Zone guy.
Big fan.
The film director of this, I just looked it up, Andrew Patterson. That was actually his debut. He's an indie filmmaker. So
yeah, and for a debut, it's a strong showing. It really is.
And you said it was an Amazon original movie?
Yeah, it's an Amazon Studios movie. You can watch it with a Prime account, and really quick. I watched it this afternoon, actually. Sat down. I was a little bored.
Nice. So. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
As for myself, I caught up on Jason Reitman's film, The Frontrunner. It came out a couple years ago. I had it on my DVR probably since last fall, but it is available on Stars. So if you have Stars connected to your Amazon Prime or anything like that, You can watch it in a bunch of different places. I don't know if you guys remember the trailers to this film or anything like that, but it had to do with the 1988 presidential election. Hugh Jackman is a star. He played Gary Hart, so he was the presumptive favorite to be the nominee for the Democrats in that election. So he would have went up against George Bush after the Reagan years. And then basically his entire campaign comes crashing down over a 3-week period. That's what the 98% of the film takes place during. Basically, he has a cheating scandal where he cheats on his wife. It basically deals with how the coverage of politics kind of changed, like right in the 80s and around that period, where it was kind of like focused on like gossipy, salacious like type of materials, and journalists covering things that they probably wouldn't have covered in the past. I mean, let's not pretend he definitely wasn't the first. Let's say he did become president, wouldn't have been the first president to have cheated on his wife or anything like that.
No.
But
Definitely not.
yeah, but it deals with that. Hugh Jackman gives a fantastic performance. I think he's stealth really fucking good as a dramatic actor, and I didn't really give him credit until fairly recently.
He's a great actor.
Like I loved him in The Prestige, but I always kind of was more Christian Bale. Like I was more a fan of Christian Bale. I like Christian Bale's character more, so I kind of slept on him at the time. But over this past quarantine, I watched his film Bad Education on HBO, which is the best performance I've seen this year in a film released in 2020. And then this one, The Front Runner, just both very strong dramatic performances.
He's great in
Prisoners. Yeah, Prisoners, another really good one. If we go through his Wikipedia or IMDb, we'll probably find a lot of good performances and be like, wow. No, a lot of bad ones. Maybe he just needs to work with better people.
He was good in Eddie the Eagle too.
Didn't see that one.
That was a good one.
But yeah, the movie has a lot of Jason Reitman regulars in it. Vera Farmiga plays his wife. J.K. Simmons plays his campaign manager. Got a lot of familiar faces from TV shows. But yeah, it's crazy to think that pictures of him, of a woman going in and out of his house was enough to get him to have to leave the election based on 2020 vision and just seeing the type of stuff that goes on nowadays and has been going on for the majority of our adult lives, at least. I mean, we were in elementary school when the Monica Lewinsky stuff was going on. I mean, granted, that almost got Bill Clinton kicked out of office, but shit's been pretty crazy for the past 20 years in politics. But I'd recommend it. I think, Doug, you definitely get a kick out of it as a history person and someone who's fairly into politics.
Yeah, so I've actually been wanting to see this one a lot, so I'm glad you saw it and you liked it. I don't know if you saw Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway did kind of like one of those actors on actors.
I didn't see it.
And so it was basically them complimenting each other the whole time and how great they are.
Wolverine and Catwoman just going back and forth, giving each other kudos.
Yeah, it was just compliments flying left and right. But she talked about his performance in this movie and was just gushing about how incredible it was.
Yeah, it was the best part of the movie.
He said, oddly enough, that this was the movie that he prepared the least for and got less in his head and just kind of went with the flow. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, their conversation made me really want to see this movie. So I'm glad you saw it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say it's not a great movie or anything. Like, I'd give it 3 out of 5 stars. It's definitely worth watching. More and most so just to see like what Hugh Jackman can do in the right role. His post Wolverine career has been interesting so far. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of it over the next few years, even more, until he inevitably goes back and does Wolverine again.
I was going to say he might even play
It's totally possible. I mean, if Ryan Reynolds can pull him into it, he absolutely will. Those two are like best friends.
Yeah, I
it seems like.
think that'll end up happening sooner than later for sure.
All right, but Corey and Doug. Last week I talked about Happy Death Day 1 and 2. I kind of went over the moon over the films. I don't love them, but I really like them. I just was pleasantly surprised, is what I will say, and that's a good feeling when you're not expecting like anything great from a movie. So I challenge you guys to watch it. I know JP wasn't able to yet, but both of you did watch it. You don't have to get too into it or anything, but what do you think? Was I right? Are these movies worth watching?
Yeah. I mean, I told you guys. I mean, I was texting you guys yesterday, like, oh, I'm starting the first one, and I ended up, marathoning both of them back to back. And what I really liked about them is that the first one was more of, it had like its traditional slasher film vibes coming from it, and it definitely felt a lot like a teen movie from when we were growing up. But the second one took a completely different turn, and really took the characters that they solidified in the first one and put them kind of in a different scenario, and played off very similar, I think, to Back to the Future Part 2. They use that as like very much like the model for the sequel. But I thought they were very enjoyable. All the actors were fantastic. Of course, I hated the main character for like half the movie, and then
Tree's kind of a jerk.
Yeah,
at first,
and then once things started to kind of go super crazy, then I started to really like her. One thing I thought that was really, really interesting was the complete lack of gore in the movie. Like there were deaths and stuff like that, but it was so scaled back to what we're usually used to in these types of movies. I was expecting elaborate kills and stuff like that, and they were fun, but it was nice to see something without all the gore. And it was shot very well. It was fun. It was just a lot of fun. Both of them were.
Yeah, I think that's the right word for it, is fun. I mean, and I had a lot of fun watching both these movies. I don't think, and I know we talked about this a little bit, I don't think it would have worked as well if they got another actress to play Tree, just because the actress that played her, which I haven't seen in anything else, so I don't know if she pops up anywhere before this, but she just kills it. She does a great job of being the super bitchy sorority person that just sucks, as Corey said. You hate her in the beginning of the movie, and it takes her a really long time to have any sort of arc or change. You do wind up hating her for half the movie, but once she starts kind of changing and getting into that arc, I mean, she becomes a great character. And part of the appeal of 2, or part of the cool things about 2, is you already have her. She's already gone through that arc by the time you meet her in the second one, and so you don't have to go through that transformation.
Now I got a question for you guys. And I think that they did have it planned out. Just the way how clever the writing was, especially for the second one. Do you think that the first 2 films, do you think they had everything kind of planned out for the first 2 films before, or they just were like, oh man, this movie is successful, we got to make a sequel, and came up with the plot for the second one?
I think the writer director probably had some ideas.
It seems that way.
I don't know if he necessarily had a full scale trilogy fleshed out completely, but I think he probably had some ideas. And I know he definitely does. I know he does now for the third one, and wants to do it. And Corey, you watched the post-credit scene?
Yeah. Yes.
Good.
Yeah, the actors just they especially in the second one, like it they were just they had a lot of fun. You could tell that they were having a lot of fun filming it. Um I thought the sequel was funnier. It had like
Oh, it was definitely
a
funnier.
weird like sense of humor that I was not expecting at all, and I was dying during certain scenes, and I'm like, wow, this is not what I was expecting at all after watching the first one. But it was definitely a pleasant surprise. I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, no, I don't think you were off at all, Murph. I think they're both good movies. They're both worth watching. And JP, I know you're planning on watching them, so maybe at some point we can dive in and talk about once you catch up.
Doug,
Talk a
Yeah,
little
I'm
bit
excited
more.
to watch.
I'm looking, and Jessica Roth, the star of the movie, she graduated from BU in 2009.
Oh wow.
Oh wow! So there's a chance that our paths could have
There is
crossed.
absolutely a chance your paths could have crossed. So that's pretty crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was looking up what she's been in. I saw her in one episode of Happy Endings. I actually remember the character now that I'm reading it. And then nothing. She was in La La Land, but I guess I would imagine
Yeah.
she was probably just one of Emma Stone's like roommates. I don't really see what else she's been in that any of us would know.
It's wild that we didn't see at least the first one in theaters. I feel like even after watching the trailer for the first one, like it was right up at least my alley. I would have gone and seen it, but I wonder why it was just not on my radar at all.
Yeah, no, it slipped by us, but hopefully they make a third one, and we're gonna keep banging the drum for this movie because I do want to see the final chapter based on
Definitely.
how it ended.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll talk more about it when JP sees it, and we can fully talk spoilers and things like that at that point.
Sounds good.
All right,
I spoil every movie for myself.
That's
anyway,
true.
so.
We could have just told the entire movie beat for beat. But circling back to what we mentioned at the start, our main topic for tonight is the R-rated films that came out during our youth. So we thought this was an interesting topic, just for the fact that for some reason there were like films that you were allowed to watch when you were a kid. Didn't necessarily make sense, like why that film was one that you got to watch when you could watch something else. It was probably a lot more tame than the ones you were watching. It was also the age where R-rated movies were like targeted to kids via action figures, video games, all that sort of stuff, cartoons. What movies were the ones that you guys watched a lot when you were a kid that like your parents were cool with you watching, and it just felt like you were getting away with something by being able to watch them?
I mean, I can start. I got a bit of a
go for it.
list. I grew up in a heavy Arnold Schwarzenegger family, so growing up as a kid, I watched Terminator 2 a lot. Not so much Terminator 1, but Terminator 2 a lot. I watched a bunch. I had tons of toys. I think I had a video game couldn't even tell you, probably Nintendo or something like that. Genesis maybe. True Lies was another one I watched a lot.
That's a pretty hard
I
R.
actually have vivid memories of. Yeah, I have vivid memories around the time that came out, sitting in the living room eating dinner and watching True Lies.
watching Jamie Lee Curtis be forced to do a striptease for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, and honestly, I think I was a little too young to have any idea what was going on there, but I found it funny when Bill Paxton peed his pants. That was about where I was.
Well, that's good. You didn't at least understand what was
then-
happening at that point. Otherwise, it would have been really awkward.
Yeah, and then Total Recall, which another one of those movies where there's a lot of strange stuff.
That's a pretty brutal
There's
one,
A
right?
lot of sexually suggestive things. Yeah, there's a lot of heads exploding and stuff like that, but it's goofy looking. I guess my dad's kind of whole outlook was it's really bad looking special effects, so who cares? And Arnold's hilarious just by being Arnold. And then Demolition Man was another one that we watched a bunch. I'm not a Stallone person. I think this was one of the only Stallone movies outside of Judge Dredd I saw until not very recently, but within the last 15 years or so. I never watched Rocky movies growing up.
Oh, they were only PGs. You're thinking of Rambo.
Yeah, but just like Stallone.
Oh,
I
gotcha,
never
gotcha.
watched Stallone movies. It was always like Arnold Schwarzenegger or nothing in our house. We even watched Junior more times. Is that Junior? What's the one where he gets
Junior.
pregnant? Junior. Yeah, we watched Junior more times than I care to admit. That's
What about Twins?
Twins is that was always playing at home. I love that movie.
It's a great
Twins
movie.
is classic.
It's a great
Good movie.
It's a great pairing, Dane DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It really is. It really is. I would love to see them now because they've gone in completely different. Like Danny DeVito's off his rocker, and Schwarzenegger is this clean-cut politician. Not really clean-cut, but you know. Yeah, Demolition Man was another one. Not super hard R-rated. I think there's some swear words in it and stuff, but I mean,
All right, so you watched a little. You watched
it's
a little
pretty
bit of Stallone.
tame. Yeah, and then South Park, the movie, which, you know, I see my dad laughing at a cartoon, and fifth grade me gets to watch South Park all day, every day. And then I guess we weren't too young at the time.
We were still in elementary school
But-
when South Park debuted.
I thought South Park came out
The
in
movie.
99.
Oh, the
Like
movie
middle
did.
school.
The TV show. The
Yeah, the
TV
movie
show. We
came
were in
out.
elementary.
Yeah, I used to get to
school.
watch the TV show a whole bunch. Yeah, I remember the first night I got to stay up and watch the TV show. My parents were away, and I got them to call whoever was watching me and tell them that I could watch that show. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got.
That's solid though. You've been an Arnold household. I totally respect that.
Oh yeah,
That's
no, it was.
that's what
it
mine was like as
as
well.
long as
Was always Arnold over Stallone, with the exception of the Rocky movies. I'm a Rocky homer. First time I ever saw a Rocky movie was at your house, Corey, in elementary school. Rocky 4.
Yeah. One movie I'm going to mention, which I think you probably saw at my house too for the first time, Murph. Face Off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's one that always comes to mind. Because my older brother loved, Chris loved that movie, and I remember watching that more times than really anything, and I still watch it. It's such an insane film, but definitely a movie that I have no idea why I was able to watch it. Yeah, I mean, Jean-Claude Van Damme's movies come to mind too, like Sudden Death, Time Cop, just like all of those. I feel like I would just throw on HBO a lot of times and just start watching something, and my brother would sit down and watch it with me. My mom would know exactly what I was watching, but I guess just completely ignore the fact that someone's getting their arm chopped off or getting kicked in the head, senseless. But
And,
I think having an older brother really helps it.
it had to have helped you guys.
yeah, totally.
Because
Yeah.
me and Doug are both the older brothers, and
Yeah.
my brother got away better than I did.
The only one that I remember where I literally just got completely just shut down was Mortal Kombat. That I got
Which was a PG-13.
I know.
Yeah, it was not
but
rated R.
I remember I got like completely shut down. And also Street Fighter. My grandfather, he was like, "Your mom said that you can't see this? Okay, well, I'm going to take you." And he got in so much trouble. I mean, I was happy I saw it, but those two movies, for whatever reason, after all the other films that I saw, those two movies were like a hard no.
Dude, and I tried to see Street Fighter by saying Corey saw it, and my mom called Corey's mom to ask about it, and she's like, his grandfather took him. I would never let him go see that movie. So then I wasn't able to see it.
Really? I think I saw Street Fighter in theaters.
I
remember.
think
the
it
ending.
probably had something to do with the fact that it was based on a violent video game, and like video games were so shit on by like politicians in like the early mid 90s. Maybe that was the reason, because they were letting me watch Terminator movies and like Aliens. I I think by that point I'd seen Speed like a million times. I'd go over to my neighbor's house all the time to watch Speed. Love that film so much.
I think you showed me that for the first time.
Which one, Speed?
Yeah, I think so.
Probably. And yeah, the Terminator movies, mostly T2, like JP said, and Aliens.
Yeah.
Those were like the R-rated movies that, like, if I'd go to this one friend's house, it would be like, okay, you're allowed to watch it when you're here. It'd be like, I don't know why, but I'd always be like super excited to go there to be able to watch those movies because they were insane in their classics, as you obviously all are aware.
One that comes to mind with you is Scream.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about Scream.
I saw that at a sleepover at your house. We
should not have been watching that.
I didn't want to watch it when I was there.
I don't know, slasher movies for some reason I gotta pass. But the reason why originally I wasn't allowed to see Scream, but I watched it at my neighbor's house. Once I saw it, I mean, at that point, like, you can't stop me now. I already know what's in it, so I might as well be able to watch it.
Now that I think about it, I watched a lot of those movies that I definitely wasn't supposed to at your neighbor's house.
It was like Halloween.
Yes.
The Halloween movies, Nightmare on Elm Street.
I know what you did last summer, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot we were in elementary school for all those movies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shit. I was going to say, like, until you just brought this point up, the consensus is they're all action movies. Like, for some reason, seeing like blood and guts and guns were totally acceptable. But I don't think any of us named a comedy. Did you guys watch any R-rated comedies? Like, did you watch Caddyshack or like Vacation?
No. A History of the World I watched, but not until I was maybe like 12 or 13.
Gotcha.
Vacation's
14-ish.
Definitely one I should have mentioned. I didn't even think about it. I saw that so many times growing up.
Well,
I didn't
yeah.
realize that was rated R.
Yeah.
It was rated R because there wasn't PG-13.
Okay.
And then European Vacation came out, and that was PG-13. So they're not that bad. I remember watching those, but they don't stick out into my mind as something I feel like I was getting away with. It was just really dumb humor and some boobs.
Yeah, like
That was about it.
fucking my mom sucked when it came to like R-rated comedies. Like, I wasn't able to see There's Something About Mary. So that came out when we were just, I guess, finishing up elementary school. American Pie.
Yeah, that was
I guess those late '90s movies and like Scary Movie, which were elementary school, middle school. JP has a good Scary Movie story.
Oh man, that was awkward. I was in the Netherlands that summer, and I really wanted to see Scary Movie. I said, Dad, it's the guy that directed Airplane and all this other crap, and it's gonna be hilarious. And he caved, and we took the whole family to the movie theater in the Netherlands, where they serve beer. Thank God, because my dad had a few drinks, and the amount of penises in that movie that I had to watch with my family, sitting there, that was really awkward. I regret that to this day. I hounded them. I had no idea.
Well, that was
Really, really awkward.
that was always the worst thing I think about watching it when you did get to watch an R-rated movie or with your parents, and there's like, I mean, even today when there's like a graphic sex scene, and you have to sit there and you're just like,
I feel like
you're
it's
all not,
especially
kind
if
of
you
just like,
I feel like it's such an American
You're
thing.
like, it's not going to be that
Like,
bad.
I feel like in other countries, there's like, all right, whatever. I don't give a
Yeah,
shit.
sex
Like,
isn't
'cause
a big-
there's like nudity on TV
Oh, yeah.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, dude, in the Netherlands, after I think 8:30 at night, Fox became
Just turns into like Cinemax.
legitimately. It was Red Shoe Diaries came on at 8:30
Some
at
G-string
night.
divas.
It was such a weird thing, and everyone in that theater was probably like, just another day at the movies for them, but they just had to read the subtitles. That was so strange.
Yeah, and like your sister was just
And-
going to middle school, like you were going to
Yeah.
7th grade.
And it's not like I could leave and go anywhere. It was a foreign country where I didn't speak Dutch. I couldn't just like go for a walk.
That reminds me of Me, Myself, and Irene. It was that same. It was the same summer as Scary Movie, and Corey had already seen it. So I went like spoiler heavy. I'm like, tell me everything. I want to know everything about this movie. It was like, I love Jim Carrey at that point in time, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be seeing it like, because again, it was an R-rated comedy. It was the same time as like American Pie, Scary Movie, and all these. The directors of There's Something About Mary, which I had to go to a friend's house in order to watch, but for some reason, my parents, like, I guess because it was Jim Carrey, and they had let me go to see all his other movies. They relented. But I thought it was just going to be me, my brother, one of our buddies, and one of our buddies' brothers to go see it. Like, no parents or anything like that. We went to Valley View. Like, we went into the theater. And then my mom and dad like show up and they go into the movie. And at this point, I had known everything that was in that movie and how I did not want my parents to see that movie because the fucked up stuff that was in it. When the movie ended, they got to see the entire movie. Had a whole fucking talk about like,
Oh no!
all like so many of the fucked up scenes in the movie. I was like, this is the worst night of my life. I should have just not saw the movie.
And that's where our families differ because my mom and dad said absolutely
Just
silence about Scary Movie. We have never spoken about it.
Oh man.
We live in denial that we even
Kyle
went to
and
that
Derek
movie.
still bring up the fact that like we got talked like lectured after seeing the movie.
Was I there for that? I don't know if I was.
No,
I
you
wasn't.
were not there.
Oh, okay.
You were not there for it. 'Cause you had already saw it.
South Park is another one. Like, I remember my sister showing me that, and my mom was like, "Oh my god, what is this?" Horrified. And then I think you were there, right? Weren't you there when we watched it?
I saw the South Park movie at your house.
Yeah. She was horrified.
No, not on Laserdisc. It was on DVD.
Yeah, no,
right when DVDs came out.
Yeah.
Because you had the Face Off DVD.
Yeah, that was all my sister's fault.
Man, my dad still sings songs
It's
from
amazing.
the South Park movie to this day. He's been singing them since 1999. He sings the Christmas songs too. Those are his favorite Christmas songs, Mr. Garrison.
Yeah, but other than those,
I mean,
yeah, Doug, you go.
Kyle's mom. I was just gonna say, Kyle's mom's a bitch is a fantastic song.
Oh, it's a classic.
Yeah, it should have won whatever they give for songs and movies.
Yeah, I mean, the music to that movie is fantastic.
Yeah.
They really killed it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, other than the ones that you guys have already talked about, I guess the only other big ones that I watched like a lot were The Rock and Con Air. There's like Nicolas Cage. I was never a huge Face Off guy, but I loved the Jerry Bruckheimer ones, The Rock and Con Air, and they are pretty brutal R-rated movies, like pretty violent, but they're just a blast. And I don't know,
The Rock is so
I was
good.
able to watch them. I don't know why. What about you, Doug?
So a lot of these movies I've seen, and it wasn't because my parents caved. My parents were pretty strict about what I was able to watch, as far as like our ratings go, at least from what I remember. But I didn't have cable, and so the WB would air like almost all of these movies, rated R movies, but they just edit out all the violence and curse words. And so I saw The Rock, I saw RoboCop, I saw all these movies, but like with the significant chunks of the movie cut out to make them not be an R
It always
rating.
makes me think of Speed when you used to watch it on TV. That was like one of the
Yeah,
worst.
there were some funny edited curse words that they made up on that.
Speed's one of the ones. Yeah, Speed's one of the ones I saw on TV, and so I'd see all these movies. Dust Till Dawn is another one.
How do you even put that on WB without the entire movie being cut out? Is Cheech even in that movie?
They just
I think
remove his
every word
character.
He says is a swear word.
It's just like all of these movies I saw, but it was just, yeah, they just edited out like significant chunks, and so they were. When I finally saw these movies as the way they were intended, rated R, I was like, oh wow, these movies are actually way better when half the movie's not edited out for violence.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So I kind of got gypped at a lot of the movies. I'm sure I saw a few. I know The Shining always sticks out. I know we talked about it the other day, that one scene where it's like this hot woman getting out of a bath and she's naked, and then immediately like
It's not hot anymore.
deteriorates and gets ancient, and it's very graphic how she deteriorates.
Fool you.
They don't shy away from showing that, and so that was always like an image that's been burned into my brain and been pretty horrifying.
The guy in the dog costume.
Oh yeah.
Take you years to unpack the child. Like, why was he sitting there? Why was he kneeling? I have no idea. And then one day it all clicks, and your therapist tells you that it's going to be okay. It's fine. The dog guy can't hurt you anymore.
Yeah. So not the best way to watch a lot of those movies, but one of the first movies I remember are on Blu-ray. I remember Braden across the street got The Matrix on Blu-ray.
No, that would have been DVD.
Which
That would have been
like,
DVD.
Yeah.
Or DVD, I'm sorry. Yeah, not Blu-ray. Got it on DVD, and I was like blown away that he had a DVD player, because they were like thousands of dollars at the time. I was like, oh wow, this is crazy. And so I remember going over there a bunch and watching that movie.
The Matrix was like the one action movie that like I wanted to see and wasn't allowed to, because it came out right after Columbine. So like again, like the fucking media just decides to rip on something and like ruins my fun. But a few months later, it was like, okay, you can watch it.
What drove that movie to get an R rating? Because I'm thinking,
dude, it is a PG-13.
And
It
there's
is
like
100% a PG-13 rated movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was just the timing of it.
Because
Like
there's
you
no
said.
like no gore, no blood.
There's no blood at all.
There's no sex.
They're not technically
Yeah, there's-
killing people.
exactly.
They're killing computer
Like,
simulations.
it's very strange that movie got an R. But like you, Doug, you were saying before we started recording, there was a bunch of PG or movies or PG-13 rated movies that you thought were R that you realized were actually not, and you were surprised.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the movies, like we're talking about Con Air, we're talking about Demolition Man. When you think about those movies, which, you know, they definitely have their moments where you, but like a movie like Jaws, where there's just like this giant shark coming up and just like eating people.
Never be PG.
Like, how is that? How is that? That's a PG movie. And so it's like we've got The Matrix on the one end, where like nothing, no blood, no nothing. And then you've got this horrifying movie that like with this giant shark swimming around eating people, eating children. Probably scared a lot. I mean, I
scared a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean,
people didn't go in the water for a long time after that movie came out.
Yeah, I wasn't super fond of going in the ocean either after seeing that movie.
I still don't like it.
And it's like, that's a PG movie. That's not even
a time taking a shower after Psycho.
So, yeah, what was Psycho rated?
R.
Is it okay?
Rightfully so.
Yeah, that I could see being R, but even Jurassic Park is pretty.
Yeah, that's brutal.
That's PG.
What was?
Yeah, I mean, a man gets ripped.
That movie
half
is brutal.
pretty much.
Yeah, but you're allowed a certain
So is it
degree of
just like-
violence in a PG-13, as long as it's not like gory. Lost World, you can make an argument that could be R,
Yeah.
because that is bloody and a lot gorier than the first one.
Even that.
But then it nullifies it when she does the parallel bars and kills the raptor.
I mean,
'Cause that
that's
couldn't possibly be
that's
rated
like
R
a
movie.
PG-rated movie because it's so unrealistically fucking stupid and targeted towards kids.
Spoiler alert: the end of Jurassic Park.
But speaking of targeting these movies to kids, we're just talking about Jurassic Park, which obviously was PG-13, so it was a family-friendly movie despite being pretty wild at points.
About a movie about dinosaurs eating people.
Well, we're in second
We
grade.
were, we were kindergarten, man. For
I had pencil pouches.
yeah,
and-
exactly. having posters. You, me, and Kyle, we all had our pencil pouches. But like those R-rated movies, like it's fucking strange that they would have action figures at Toys R Us and like with all the kids' toys. Like, who are they marketing these movies towards? Like RoboCop had a fucking cartoon. That is such a R. It's such a hard Ultra R.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was told I was never allowed to see it.
Yeah, I had a toy too.
Okay, this guy's got a gun. I'm gonna have him go shoot
it
the
was
dolls
that
or
movie
something. I don't know.
is incredibly violent, even to this day. Like, I watched it maybe within the past year. It's brutal.
Yeah, like RoboCop had a cartoon. Rambo had a cartoon. Rambo had a cartoon. Conan had a cartoon after like the Arnold movies came out. Like, they're just targeting these R-rated movies to kids. They had I remember when going to Disney World, and they had Aliens action figures. Disney World won't even put out an R-rated movie. They weren't even putting out PG-13 rated movies at the time, but they were selling R-rated action figures to kids.
I had an alien action figure that exploded, and one of the things inside of it was its guts. And I would put it back together, and I'd blow it up again.
That sounds
They had
awesome.
some good toys.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'd never seen the movie up to that point. I just knew that alien.
I remember
exploded.
I had the mech, that yellow mech suit that she uses at the end of the first one. I had that Ripley. Or
I had that
second one.
too.
Second one,
actually
first
pretty
one.
crazy though.
What?
I think it's the second one.
Yeah,
Second one.
It's the second one. I think,
Yeah, against Alien Queen.
Yeah, I had
The
that.
Queen.
It is really crazy though, because we were playing with action figures that we had absolutely no
Mhm.
context for.
They just
And it
looked
was
cool.
still-
I had a ton of Terminator 2 action figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a Terminator
I had
too.
the one where like the pipe comes through his hand, and that was when he murdered.
I
someone in the
remember
movie.
bringing my John Connor action figure to the barbershop or the salon, wherever the fuck I got took to when I was a kid, and being like, "Give me this haircut." Like, yeah, we can't do that. Your hair's terrible.
I want to look.
I want to look like this thing. I want to have a dirt bike, motorcycle thing also, because the action figure has one.
It's like, oh,
Didn't get
it was
that
so
either.
cool.
Yeah, Edward Furlong, man, he was cool in the early '90s.
Yeah, I had the Terminator figure where it was the T1000 or T800, but like the robot, just the robot figure, and you could stick the head or whatever in the light, and it would like absorb the light, and then his eyes would glow red.
That's awesome.
Which was pretty cool. But I don't know that I had the context around it at the time. I was just like, oh, this is like a cool metal robot.
Imagine nowadays they're making John Wick action figures for kids, and like these
They do, man.
for kids.
Fortnite had a John Wick skin, and like 9-year-olds play Fortnite, and they were just all about it. But they probably never seen the movie.
All right, so it does still happen to a degree.
It's just a little different.
Interesting.
I forgot about that until
but I can't imagine like a Toys R Us selling that kind of stuff. No. It's more like the collectibles, like action figures that are like higher scale and cost a little bit more money. Sure, yeah. Not necessarily like Hot Toys type money, but more than a Star Wars. Yeah, like McFarlane, exactly. More than a Star Wars.
Like a boutique action figure or something like that.
Exactly. All right. Anything else? Any other funny stories or anything like that in regards to these movies?
I feel like we could go on forever.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I do have some more of my in the arsenal, but I'll hold off. All right. So, lastly, for today, we have the continuation of our yearly film series. Today, we are up to 1982. So for this, each of us are going through one movie from that year, which we all love for some particular reason. It doesn't have to be that it's an actual good movie, and it could be a piece of shit, but we watched it when we were a kid and we have nostalgia for it. But Corey, as usual, I will let you start with your film.
Yeah, I chose John Carpenter's The Thing. Um, I don't know if
Yes.
I don't know if this was the first horror movie that I saw, but it was definitely one of the first. And to this day, it's still like it left such an impact on me. Like I love this movie. Love this movie. I just the atmosphere, even the special effects are still incredible. Like they still hold up very, very well. I mean, a lot of it was practical effects and all of the weird things that they had to do to kind of get everything believable was pretty nuts. But it's just it's such a great like character study of these men that literally go insane, you know, being stuck in Antarctica, you know, at a government research base, and you don't really see the alien until the end. You know, the whole movie is basically like a whodunit. Like you're trying to figure out who is the shapeshifter, who is the alien, um, and the tension just continues to build because no one trusts each other. You as the audience member have no idea. You have an idea, and then you know you figure out that that person is actually human still, and you know you're back at square one. John Carpenter does that a few times, um, and it just keeps you guessing. And then as I've seen it more and more times over the years, I pick up on other things. Uh, but I mean, the Kurt Russell's in it. It's fantastic. Uh, Wilford Brimley, who's in it, awesome. Keith David, if I remember correctly, yeah, I think he's in it. And trying to think, Richard Mazer, I think, is in it. From I remember him from My Girl for whatever reason, but he's in it as well. But yeah, the cast is awesome. It's just it's a John Carpenter film that feels a lot like Halloween, like his signature, like his own, like JP mentioned last week, I think. Uh, you know, with Escape from New York,
Fire
amazing soundtrack. You know,
Well, that one was different. He actually outsourced. The thing was Ennio Morricone.
oh really? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't.
rest in peace. We didn't actually mention he passed away a few weeks ago, but absolute legend.
Yeah, that was I thought that was a John Carpenter joint, but yeah, I mean it still holds up as one of the best horror movies I've ever seen, and I'm actually due to watch it again. Um, Even the sequel or prequel is decent, but it's very different. But if you haven't seen either one of them, I definitely recommend them. They're on VOD and you know whatever service. I'm sure Amazon. That's my pick.
Doug,
Yeah.
what do you got for us?
And
Or unless you want to talk about the thing.
I think Doug wants to talk about the thing.
just quickly on the thing, I'm not gonna. I've talked about the thing before. But yeah, just
I think that was a practice
record-
one. I don't think any of our listeners heard you talk about the thing, actually.
Okay, well, it's the thing. I think, as Corey said, the practical effects in that movie are amazing. It's one of the. It's a lot of puppetry, I believe, is how they achieved the practical effects, and so you're not dealing with 80s CGI, which has aged terribly over the years. And the puppetry that they did was just incredible. They got very creative with this shape-shifting alien and what it would look like mid-shape-shift, and it's disgusting and horrifying, and it's half one shape, half another shape, and it's just a fun movie to watch if you're really into the practical effects. And then within all of that, as Corey said, you kind of got like a Usual Suspects thing going on, where you're trying to figure out who the snitch is, who's the alien, and so it's a great movie, and I think probably one of the better creature designs you'll find um, in probably movie history.
It's Rick Baker did the effects, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
Another legend.
I remember when, I think it was last year, they came out with like a anniversary set, or 2 years ago, and I picked it up, and there was new documentaries on the DVD, and they talked about how they put together a lot of those special effects, and a lot of it they were figuring it out on the set. They were they were testing things and trying to figure out like if this worked, and using different angles, and like movie magic per se, I guess. And they came up with these jerry-rigged ways of getting these shots that they wanted, or that John Carpenter wanted, and they pulled it off, and it's pretty remarkable, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. So watch The Thing if you haven't seen it.
Absolutely.
It's a good movie. But to go into my pick, I picked for 82 Rocky 3.
Yes.
The third movie in the Rocky series, and the first Rocky where he's not fighting Apollo Creed.
Clubber Lang.
Yeah, you got the matchup in this one is Rocky is facing off against Mr. T, who in the movie is going by Clubber Lang, and he's a powerhouse boxer, and so Rocky has to deal with the fact that he can't just get punched in the face 1,000 times and use that as a strategy. And so he winds up training with Apollo Creed and kind of learning how to be a faster fighter. And so I love that dynamic. I love him teaming up with Apollo Creed versus them being like a nemesis. I like that they become friends in 3. And that they train together, and that they're just I think I love that bond between the two of them that you get in 3.
Oh, they have a great bromance.
They have a great bromance. They have a nice scene on the beach after they run
lovely.
in their short shorts, where they jump and they're in the ocean, and it's pretty bro-y and pretty 80s. And so I really love Rocky 3. I think it's definitely one of the better of the Rocky movies.
It was also the
debate.
It was also the first one where Sylvester Stallone clearly did steroids.
Yeah, absolutely. He looked completely different.
And Rocky's no longer like an absolute idiot in the third one.
Yeah.
He just starts speaking like a normal, semi-intelligent person versus who Rocky Balboa was in the first 2 films. Which was just kind of like I don't know how to. He just was not an intelligent person in the first 2 films. That's how they set him up to be. He's very punchy, as they described him plenty of times.
3
is very different because he had to be a different type of fighter, and so I think that changed the character a bit.
And so I think Sylvester Stallone's fame also changed it. Like I think he had plastic surgery in between 2 and 3. Like he was like Hollywood by that point. Like he wasn't yet like forming Planet Hollywood, but he very much was like a Hollywood guy by then. He wasn't Philadelphia like Sylvester Stallone or anything like that. He was big time, which is why the character clearly elevates his status so much, like in life, in that third one compared to the first 2. Kind of mimicked him.
One thing that always comes to mind with the third movie for me is I think that this movie has one of Sylvester Stallone's like best dramatic scenes in his career. I think when Mickey dies in the film, that scene's fantastic. I think
38-year-old spoiler alert for JP.
I'll get around to it one day.
I mean, I just think that scene was just, it's like a very chilling, performance, especially after watching the first 2 movies and seeing these 2 characters, have such a bond relationship. And that was it's definitely like a powerful scene, tough scene to watch.
Yeah, Burgess Meredith and Stallone had great chemistry together. Going to what you said, Doug, about it being one of the better ones, I have to agree with you on that front. I'd say it's better than, off the top of my head, it's better than 2. It's better than 5. It is better than Creed 2. It's probably around like the Rocky Balboa. I mean, Rocky 4, it's definitely better than Rocky 4. Like, Rocky 4 is not an objectively good movie.
It's such a fun
It is a
movie,
fun
though.
movie. It is nothing but montages, and it is so 80s. There is a fucking robot in the movie who has more AI than, like, technology now.
I forgot about the robot. There's an 80s robot.
Paulie was in love with the robot.
Yeah, Paulie was definitely
that was a
fucking the
legitimate
robot.
That was an arc in the movie.
Oh, it's so goofy. And then the Ivan Drago training scene is just like lights everywhere and like super 80s.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Rocky 4 is it's not a good movie, but it is so much fun. But yeah, Rocky 3 probably like right in the middle or in the top half of the 8 movies so far. It's probably around 4, I would say.
I could see that.
I don't know what you guys. Sounds like you would be in a similar ballpark.
Yeah, definitely.
Both of you.
Yeah, I think so. I don't like the Creed movies as much as you guys do, so I'm kind of I still kind of like a lot of the Rocky movies more than I do the Creed. So it would probably be a little higher on my list, but I agree. I think you're putting one ahead of it, which I agree with.
Yeah, put Creed ahead of it, Rocky ahead of it, and then I'd probably put Rocky Balboa ahead of it.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's probably like 2 on my list, with the first Rocky being above it. I just really enjoy that movie.
And what you said about the Creed movies, when I watched the second one again, I definitely didn't like it anywhere near as much as the first one, and as much as I did like it the first time I saw it. That would definitely be my bottom half of the movies, Creed 2. But I think the first Creed was fantastic.
Yeah, I know you guys love it a lot. I'd probably want to go back and rewatch it to see if I love Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, I mean him, Tessa Thompson, just great cast.
Yeah, so I definitely got to go back and rewatch it. I think I'm just kind of like stuck in my. These are the Rocky movies.
You grew up with them.
Yeah, these are the ones I grew up with. These
part.
are the ones that got me excited to do like push-ups or something on the floor. Is watching a Rocky montage. So
when you were at your like most jacked
classics.
phase during college, did you just like watch the Rocky movies and do push-ups and shit? You'd listen to the music while you were working out.
I mean, I definitely have worked out to the music, and I've definitely watched like the montage clips because they're pretty stoked. I especially love 4, where he's just like in a barn.
Oh yeah,
training
he's in
with
Soviet
like,
Russia.
Nothing.
Yeah, barn in Soviet Russia and runs to the top of a mountain.
All you need is a log and an incline, and you can be a
That
master.
I think that's the best montage out of all the movies. Out of all like the
Well,
Rocky
there's like
movies.
5 different ones in Rocky 4. So which montage are you referring to?
The one where he
The
Soviet
Soviet
Russia.
Russia
There's 2 in Soviet Russia.
The last one before the fight where he fucking runs up the mountain. He runs up the mountain. He makes the
Okay, so the second Russia montage.
he makes those like government officials like crash.
He loses the government officials.
Yeah, because there's the first one when he gets to Russia and Paulie's falling around and like, oh, what are we doing here? And then Adrian comes after the montage. They have a quick scene where they talk and then fucking montage again, just right back to training.
And then he's got this big beard and like fucking
Hey, Grizzly Adams.
yeah, he's like lifting logs and like ridiculous things.
All right, we just went completely in on Rocky 4. We really haven't talked about 3.
You can't not talk about Rocky.
It's just
and
absurd.
leave out 4.
We'll talk about it again in 1987 or 86. No, 85. It came
That
out.
came out in 85.
Wow. Yeah.
Rocky IV is barred.
We can't talk about it now.
We're talking about Rocky.
That's fair. Well, when we get to 1990, we'll talk about the horribleness that is Rocky V. All right. JP, what about you?
I picked a movie that's a little more grounded in reality than Rocky. That, of course, being The Secret of NIMH, and it's about talking mice.
I've never seen this movie.
Neither have I.
It's a great movie. It's based on the book called Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of NIMH. I have it pulled up.
It's not a Disney
Rats of
movie, is
NIMH
it?
Is not a Disney movie. At least I don't believe it's a Disney movie. It stars the likes of Dom DeLuise.
Oh, it's a Don Bluth movie.
Yeah, I rented this movie from the library about probably 25 to 50 times in my childhood. I love this movie. It's kind of dark. The art styling is really, really... It's sort of like a nightmarish Disney movie in terms of kind of the aesthetic that it does. And it's about, a woman rat whose child is sick and she needs to get a cure for her child. So she goes on this fantastical adventure and winds up getting entangled with a bunch of genetically mutated rats that are evil and strong. It's a great movie. I highly recommend it. It's I felt like when I was watching it as a kid, it was a little more mature than I was really capable of watching I think I was about 6. But I'm sure I go back now and I haven't watched it in years. It's probably a little childish, but it's a great movie. It's like I was saying, if you want a slightly more darker toned Disney movie, this is right up your alley. It's got Dom DeLuise in his prime. It's got Will Wheaton in it. He plays one of the children. Good old Will.
Did you ever see the sequel?
I have not seen the sequel. I tend to stay away from animated sequels. But I was actually just looking it up. They got a lot more voice talent for the sequel, it seems. But no, unfortunately, I missed that. So maybe I'll go back and I'll do a double feature one day. But read the book, watch the movie. It's cool. It's if you can get over the fact that they're mice, then it's
and you're good to go.
Story. It's a really good fantasy story, just on the surface.
Cool.
Definitely my pick for 1982. It was a tough year for me to pick.
Not a strong year for you?
Not a really strong year, no. You guys picked the good ones.
Sorry about that.
And I picked the ones about the mice. Oh, I'm not worried. This movie honestly stands out more to me from this year than any of the other ones.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. Like I said, I rented it from the
Wayne Public Library.
Damn right.
Was it the small? I guess it would have to be the small one at the time. The one right by our houses.
Yeah, it was
the Preakness one.
It was the small one. I had a standing order for this and the Disney. What was it? Ichabod Crane.
Headless Horseman.
Repeat. Yeah, the Headless Horseman. Yeah, I those were the 2 movies I rented from the library exclusively on VHS.
All right, and then as for myself, I will close it out. I picked E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial. So this was
classic.
Absolutely classic. It was my introduction to Steven Spielberg. My mom claims I watched it every day for an entire year when I was 3. That has to be an over-exaggeration. So I'm going to say I've probably seen it 100 times because a whole year is pretty fucking long. But yeah, I loved it when I was a kid. It was probably, I guess, my introduction to loving film as well. As you said, classic movie. I think what sticks out to me the most at this point in time is just the score. I think it's one of John Williams' best score. And it's so impressive what Spielberg got out of those child actors. And I think that's probably why I liked it so much when I was a kid. It was just because it was a movie with like starring kids and just following their lives. You really don't see any adults in the movie, with the exception of Elliot's mom and I believe one of like the FBI agents or whatever type of agents they are. Everyone else, like the teachers and stuff, they like cut their bodies off. It's like they're Peanuts characters or something like that, like the adults on that show, and like comic strips and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say what was weird though was when I was a kid. Apparently, the only thing in the movie that like creeped me the heck out was like the very beginning because it's like super loud, and for some reason I would hide behind like chairs like at the far end of the room, and then once the trucks were gone, I would come back out. Apparently, it was like way too loud. I don't know why they just didn't turn the volume down for me. The irony being now, like I would need it blasted so high because my hearing's so bad. But the movie's really slow. I think when you go back and watch it, after I was like a kid and after like Jurassic Park and stuff like that, it wasn't a movie I'd want to watch for a really long time. Like I guess I got used to faster paced stuff. Like when I would watch it, I'd be like, this kind of drags. It probably wasn't until like the 20th anniversary in 2002 that I'd watched it for the first time again in a very long time and was like, oh shit, this is like a great movie. And now it's something I can go back and I love it. You get to that last scene where they're in the bike chase doing the silhouette with the moon and everything like that with that swelling John Williams score. And it's movie magic. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about E.T., but that's all I got.
And you got to truly experience it once they took all the guns
away
and made them walkie-talkies.
That was such a shitty decision. But thankfully they went back on that decision by the time it was on Blu-ray. That was just.
But then they changed the ride.
Oh, what did they change on the ride?
Or at least maybe the ride always had walkie-talkies. I'm pretty sure. I don't think they ever had guns in their hand.
Gotcha.
I think they must have made that decision afterwards. But I always remember the ride at Universal having walkie-talkies, and I found that odd because they're guns in the movie because they're federal agents.
Yeah, I mean the movie is not really like it's a kids movie, but because it's a movie in the 80s, it's probably a movie that would be like PG-13 today. I mean, they're calling each other things like penis breath and some weird insults that I don't know if it necessarily fly in a PG-rated movie today. The 80s were just a different time, man, as we've gone through throughout this episode.
Yeah. E.T. is just such an iconic movie. I mean, the bike scene, as you mentioned, is just magical. It's iconic. It's you see that silhouette and you like know it's E.T. It's great product placement for Reese's Pieces.
Oh yeah, dude, M&M's fucked up.
Yeah,
Mars fucked up.
Yeah,
Reese's Pieces is so much better though.
Yeah, I think M&M's missed out because I think I was drawn more towards Reese's Pieces just because that's what E.T. liked. M&M's, that was a bad call on their part. And then,
I was legitimately craving Reese's Pieces when you're talking about E.T.
Yeah.
I think it was a subconscious thing because I didn't put it together until after you were pretty much over with.
That's funny. Yeah,
I mean the even the special effects, like the puppetry, animatronic, whatever E.T. was, it's another movie that was kind of ahead of its time. Like The Thing was, that it was pretty remarkable, and it still holds up to this day. The way that E.T. emoted and how he interacted with all the actors, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, and going back to Doug, what you mentioned about the silhouette, I mean, it's so famous it became the logo for Amblin, for Spielberg's studio.
Yep.
So, I mean, he already had Jaws at that point, but I don't think you can have a silhouette of a kid being eaten by a shark. So I think his options were he even had Raiders of the Lost Ark at that point, but we've talked about that last week. That has its own problems. But yeah, I mean, biggest movie of '82 and biggest movie of all time when it came out. So, I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said. So this was a long one, but that was all we've got for today. Thank you to everyone again for listening to this podcast. We truly appreciate all your support. It means the world to us. We have started posting about our new episodes on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can get to each of our new social pages via our Buzzsprout site. It is the URL for that is livebreathefilm.buzzsprout.com. So on there, you can find all our podcasts. It links to all our social pages. It links to our link tree, which has direct links to our iTunes or our Apple Podcasts, our Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever you like to listen to. We've got YouTube set up on there, but the video or files aren't yet up. They should be up over the next week. So you guys got that to look forward to if that's the way you prefer to listen to podcasts. But yeah, please like, follow, subscribe to all those pages. Please keep giving us feedback. All your thoughts are really important for us to get this to where we want it to be. We want to make sure we're talking about things you guys care about. And that would be a great way to know whether if you comment on posts, DM us, you can message us personally, however you want. We really just want to hear from you and want to entertain you for however long these episodes last.
Leave reviews if you can on iTunes, all the podcast services. That would be helpful too.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, good call, Corey. But yeah, as always, this has been Corey, Doug, JP, and Murph at Live Breathe Film. We'll be back next week, and we hope you keep yourself busy by watching a good film in the meantime. We'll see you next week. All right, so welcome everyone to fucking whatever this thing is called.
The Kevin Bacon Hour.
I realized I wrote the name wrong in the notes.
Whatever this fucking thing is called.
We are not called Live Breathe File.
That's close.
For all your office collation filing needs, Live Breathe File.
All right. Well, this part's gonna be edited. If you want to throw it in the end, you can throw it in the.
Are you having trouble with the Dewey Decimal System?
We're gonna edit it.
Live Breathe File.
Our sponsor, Staples.
Oh man.
We're gonna edit it right from when I said let's fucking do this shit or whatever I said. Corey, you got good editing skills, right? You're capable of doing this?
we're good.
What do you guys got this week for your filing cabinet reviews? I picked up a nice 4-drawer from Costco. It's got a lock and key.
I hope I don't have a lot of other typos in this.
As long as you don't read it verbatim, I think we'll be all right.
That's why I wrote it too. I'm like, I always have such a long-winded, rambling starts and ends. I wanted to get them on track.
As long as it's not Live, Breathe, Fuck, I think
I really
we'll be all right.
should have come up with a name that I can say.
Live, breathe, fuck.
Oh, shit.